Welcome back, Sandwalkers. Today we're going to be dissecting Funcom / Dune Awakening's most recent developer live stream. They also mentioned this as one of their final, so they dropped a ton of information about mid to end game, especially a lot about the deep desert. So trust me, you're going to want to stick around for this sandstorm of info. Before we jump in, if you enjoy what you're seeing about Dune Awakening, you plan on pre-ordering it, please use the link in my description. It supports me and I'd really appreciate it. Also, I have a playlist here on YouTube where you guys can watch tons of videos that I've been making about Dune Awakening, so much so that I'll probably be covered in spice. Might as well just call me a spice boy. So if you like spice, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more videos from me. With all that out of the way, let's jump into this Dune Awakening live stream breakdown. Now, obviously, as usual, Natasha opened with big energy, hyping up that this is the last developer stream before the head start and launch. She lays out the roadmap, mentioning the beta recap. They're going to be covering combat deep dives. They're going to be doing a live gameplay of the Haga Basin and social hubs. And they also showcased the deep desert. They even snuck in a brand new combat overview video that I'm going to have on screen right now for you guys. This combat montage basically went over the core systems, early game feel, and starter abilities. The core systems was basically melee, shields, rifles, abilities, and vehicles. Early game feel is kind of like a fast, brutal skirmishes. Your stamina is going to be your lifeline. The starter abilities that they talked about, which the first one being the voice, yanks enemies toward you, or you could use this to incapacitate an enemy. The sugar wire claw can be used for more than just a grapple. You can use it to stagger enemies. The knee charge can be used for more than just doing damage to enemies. You can actually close the gap to cause some insane damage. And the Mer pistol picks off stragglers. They also showcased the Hiltzman shield. Basically, the shield's going to be able to block fast attacks. Only slow blades will be able to penetrate these shields, or you could use a drill shot / disruptor rifle to chew them down. They showcased a bunch of different class tricks that you could use as well. The swords masters can parry and also use crushing riposte. Troopers can use swooping airstrikes. With the Bene Gesserit, you can stun them with your voice and blink dash to their face. Mentats have learned to make turrets their friend, and they have silent hunter-seeker bots. They also showcased some spice powers. Basically, if you eat the melange, you'll be able to see hidden secrets and unlock God mode style abilities. And in combat, you're going to want to mix and match everything, because Arrakis takes the week. Now, in this developer live stream, Natasha was joined by Joel and Scott, where they basically talked about a ton of things. The first one being the beta weekend takeaways, mentioning community engagement exploded. Streams, clips, memes galore just started pouring in. They've seen a ton of stuff and feedback. They also feel like they've gotten the thumbs up on the whole Dune flavored survival twist that they've got going on. And they mentioned during that weekend they were doing a bunch of rapid patching for crashes and freezes. They also mentioned they really love seeing players have that like light bulb moment as players comboed abilities and could see the real potential as they kept building their character into what it could be. And obviously, they had a great laugh at the heart-stopping near sandworm encounters. The skeptics turned into hype machines as soon as they dug into the sand. But let's be honest, there was a lot to be skeptical about with a new game coming from Funcom. Now, they did have some issues in the beta and also during a live stream with some other larger streamers where the combat really didn't shine and there was a lot of stun locking going on. Moving on, they talked about combat stamina and bugs and patches. If you didn't see it or you don't know, if you were fighting an enemy and they were just like constantly attacking, you could get stun locked by them. But no worries, they have fixed that. The fixes that they've made to the combat to fix the whole stun locking issue is that they're now that's like heavy versus slow blade split, heavy swings stagger, slow follow-ups finish. So basically you're going to be very I guess out of stamina if you're doing a bunch of heavy swings. They've also changed the way stamina works and the stamina cost. Every move now drains exactly the juice it should. Now, if you're in a situation where you just can't get out and you feel like you are stun locked, they have implemented a new second wind mechanic. And this basically means that your stamina is going to auto regen so that you can actually dodge out of trouble. Now, obviously, any issues that Dune Awakening has now or might have in the future, they promise ongoing balance patches post-launch. Now, they talked a little bit about mid-game group gameplay inside of the Haga Basin Rift. showcasing some of the Rift buggy footage. So here, basically, there's a multi-seat buggy. It lets driver, gunner, and miner rock together. So you'll be able to like play with your friends and all drive around in this buggy, you know, gathering items and whatnot. It's going to be a blast, honestly. The best part about vehicles and the buggies in this game is that the vehicles are going to be like your true inventory. No more camping with a backpack full of rocks. And also, guys, just really quick, there is a pro tip that Joel actually showcased in this video that is really awesome. If you guys are at your storage boxes at your base and you pull up with your buggy, you can actually go to the drop down inside the backpack storage and go to vehicle storage, and it will instantly swap cargo. So you can actually move things from cargo from your buggy into your actual storages without needing to manually do it. Oh, and also you can move chests without emptying them, which is obviously quality of life gold. All right, moving on. So they talked about more vehicle stuff and building customization. One of the coolest parts about Dune Awakening is being able to co-build ornithopters and bases in the world. Swap turrets, cargo pods, boosters. You can really build out these ornithopters however you want. Variants change form, and also factions will matter on how they look. Atreides Hawklines versus Harkonnen insect vibes, you know what I'm saying? Also, there are swatches, so you'll be able to recolor things so that your squad looks slick while you wreak havoc. Also, there's this really cool backup tool that you guys should get early game as fast as possible, because you can actually take your sandbikes or your ornithopters and store them and keep them safe and just carry them around and spawn them whenever you need them. I would also put that under the pro tip category. Next up, they basically talked about a lot of the city mechanics and faction systems. And one of the first things they touched on is the exchange and bank. You can stash items and credits and pay land claim taxes to the Imperium. Faction quests unlock trainers, cosmetics, and story beats. Contracts, specialty vendors, and roaming mentors keep things spicy. They also showcased the Overland map and Act 2 tease here, which a lot of people have not seen the Overland map. And I think this is going to really tie together a lot of the confusion about traveling across servers or to different areas. I think a lot of people think that it's just completely open world and that the only way to travel is just by physically driving to a location. However, the Overland map allows you to go there a lot faster without all the headaches, I guess you would say. So basically, pilots ferry you from Hage Basin to the Overland map. It's basically the gateway to the deep desert and story dungeons. Act 2 ramps up NPC dialogue, Cone of Silence, stealth zones, and assassination missions, poisoning the water shipper. And they mentioned here a big heads up that the story really fires off after about 30 hours of initial survival tutorials. They talked about the endgame vision and what they see for the deep desert cycle, mentioning that the map resets midweek via the Coriolis Storm. You'll be able to go out, scout, and basically get chart 1 of 81 sectors, craft, sync charts to share or sell. Logistics planning is also involved, so guilds will be able to pick control points, be able to go do labs and shipwrecks. And obviously there's the weekend conflicts where you'll have to worry about spice blows, control point PvP, eco lab raids. And obviously there will be a vote on who wins. So during all that time, you're going to be doing different tasks and trying to earn faction decrees so that when Sunday comes and the vote happens, your faction could win. Also, just to mention political survival of all this, Atreides versus Harkonnen, there's going to be a third faction on deck eventually, and you're all going to just be battling for the Landsrad favor. Now, as I said earlier in the video, they're going to be talking about deep desert mechanics. This right here is going to be showcasing the shield wall PvE zone. Basically, it's a really cozy transition area. It's super, smooth. 4-player eco labs, shipwreck loot, all that jazz is going to be showcased right now. Also, blueprinting, you'll be able to drop pre-made base layouts, and the costs are halved for weekly rebuilds, because obviously if you're building in the deep desert and that Coriolis Storm comes, it will wipe out that map, change the map entirely, and your base. So your base will be gone. Bye-bye. Okay, so don't keep anything precious there. Make sure not to keep anything important at that base. And also, I would say that if you're going to be building in the deep desert, make sure that it's functional, not pretty. They also mentioned some interesting tech here about the server meshing, showcasing that there was like a seamless handoff across a 24-kilometer area of shield wall, while also mentioning that transport via ornithopter is very important, especially when you're trying to move vehicles, and also it can move up to 5 players. Now, moving these big vehicles can be slow, but it's strategic. While in this deep desert footage, they showcased the spice harvesting and essentially kind of like the rotation of what you kind of want your teams to be doing during the time you're out there trying to get this spice. You want your team to be dropping thumpers to bait the worms. You're going to want to use the sand crawlers to suck up as much melange as you can, aka the spice, and then evac before that big sandworm comes. Now, they did also mention that this huge stress test they did, the big open closed beta thing that they did, basically validated the mesh servers. Players shot rockets across invisible boundaries, and it was pretty awesome. Now, a pro tip here about delivering spice. There's a quartermaster that you can basically deliver the spice to. You can haul 500 spice to this quartermaster, instantly boosting your Landsrad lens score. So big pro tip there. They mentioned in the live stream. They did do a little bit of a Mentat class highlight. These guys are thinking machines and mastering battlefield strategy, poisons, and tactical projections. Their abilities are, trajectory calculations, external turrets, hunter seeker drones, shield wards, mental smoke screens. The Mentat class is not one to play with. They also had a Q&A, which the Q&A key takeaways were that the exchange is a per world economy, not global. Dungeons are instance per player but shareable. Circuit systems isolate resource loops for automated factories, so you can have different circuits inside of your base. Faction balance, 400 plus Landsrad tasks, spice bribes, third faction will be incoming. And as far as base rating goes, only in the deep desert is that possible, but only during vulnerability windows. And Haga Basin is a safe zone. Your faction choice is purely cosmetic, and story/crafting will be unaffected by your faction choices. So it's going to come down to style and what you like in terms of cosmetics. Level cap and respec. Level cap is 200. Respec is available. Extra intel from world explorations is also available. They also talked about gear loss during PvP and throughout the entire game. And the sandworm is the only time that you will lose everything, including the vehicle that you're riding on if you're riding on one. Also, in PvP, if you're killed by an enemy, you won't lose anything besides durability and just resources. However, let's say it's a different faction and they have won that Landsrad, and they have a Landsrad decree that basically states that when they kill you, you drop everything. That is the only time that you could lose everything to a player. So just pay attention to those different decrees. They also mentioned something about doing blueprint vendors. So essentially Dune has their own guy that makes these really amazing bases that you guys have probably seen in the trailers. And they're talking about potentially putting a blueprint vendor out to where I guess they sell specific blueprints in certain areas at certain times. And I assume it would be the ones that they've made. So that'd be really cool to get your hands on a developer built base. They also mentioned that GeForce Now is expected, but they're awaiting confirmation. Now, in terms of long-term roadmap and launch reminders, basically Deep Desert remains the endgame apex. New tiers, maps, events will evolve post-launch. DLCs will add alternate gear, but desert scales with power curve. And obviously with the launch date, the June 10th is their full launch, but if you guys want to get early access to play on June 5th, all you need to do is buy the deluxe or the ultimate edition. And as mentioned in the beginning of this video, if you guys could please use the link in the description of this video, because it would help me and support me immensely. But yeah, that's really all they talked about in this huge developer live stream. They mentioned that this is one of their final, which I really doubt. I'm sure we'll see more of them in the future when they do big updates and things like that. Hopefully this gave you some more insight into Dune Awakening and what you can expect when it does launch. Make sure to smash that like and subscribe and ring that bell so you don't miss any of my head start footage and guides that I plan on putting out. And let me know in the comments what your favorite thing about Dune Awakening is so far. I'm Nebstar, and I will catch you guys in the dunes. Make sure to stay hydrated, Sandwalkers.